my name's Jim. This is my podcast, Bloody Vegans. Welcome to it. Each week I'll be travelling ever deeper into the world of veganism, discovering along the way a multitude of viewpoints from the political and ethical to the practical. I'll be doing this through a series of conversations, each aiming to further illuminate my understanding and hopefully yours of all things plant-centric. In today's episode, I'll be talking with a friend and fellow father of one, Chris van Praag. We set out to talk about vegan parenting, but if I'm honest, we meandered through the subject. We touched upon one or two other motivations along the way, and all round had a good chat. So I hope you enjoy it. This is me and Chris van Praag. And when you guys found out that you're pregnant, was there a kind of sense maybe from others of judgment? It was like, so are you gonna? I mean, surely Cass isn't going to be vegan while she's pregnant, right? Yeah, was it that kind of question?
Yeah, well, I think I mean that's the classic thing is like, are you going to bring up your child vegan? Which I mean, it doesn't. It's not to say it just doesn't piss me off, but it I think that for me shows like quite a distinct lack of understanding of the reason of veganism as a whole, because I don't know. I mean, for me, I was just like, well, yeah, because I haven't got any meat in the house. You know what I mean? I'm not going to buy, that. So, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, people would, ask the question about where'd you get your protein from?
Yeah.
Are you going to do this? But I don't think, I mean, if anybody would be dare enough to ask Cass what she would be doing and how she would be dealing with a pregnancy, then that's more for them. But we didn't get challenged too much. I mean, we were living in Brighton at the time.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting from your perspective to say that, you were the only person. So I mean, I don't know what inspired you, because if there was people around me. Yeah. The conversation in Brighton certainly it is very prevalent. You could barely go anywhere without there being a vegan option. So for you to be the only one within your thing, that's amazing.
I was flicking through Netflix. Simple as that. I was flicking through Netflix, came across Cowspiracy. I remember Kate was on day off, watched it. And by the end of it, I was like, that's it. I'm not doing that anymore. It was purely, at the time, the climate change thing. I didn't realise any of the other. I kind of thought naively at the time, well, I'll probably be unhealthy. I may waste away.
Right.
Although that would take some time. But I may waste away, and have some, horrendous protein deficiency. But at least I won't be killing the planet. That was kind of like my viewpoint, was like that's got to stop. And I kind of had a suspicion Kate would feel the same when she watched it, just because we'd been together a long time, so we'd shared similar views on things, and just didn't ever make that connection. Totally like you felt all the kind of pride of it afterwards. And then as I got thought, yes, I'm making a positive decision in the world. And then later found out, almost the animal welfare bit came later. Yeah. I was then like, actually, this is a horrendous industry. I don't want to fund. And the health bit's kind of still now is like a tertiary reason. Like it's a nice byproduct if I don't have a heart attack. But I love a bit of like a sausage sandwich, sure, vegan sausage sandwich, obviously, or a pizza, or like any vegan junk that I can eat. Yeah, I try and avoid it. Obviously, I try and be healthy, because otherwise, people look at me like, are you sure you're vegan, because you look a bit fat? There's that kind of like, they don't put that in the sentence, but you kind of know it's
but these are the times, right? I mean, it's so easy now. And actually, I mean, I remember I chatted with a lady a little while back who'd been vegan for 25 years,
Yeah.
And she used to tell me she had to just bring her own food everywhere, not just pack her own lunch,
just
everywhere. And I mean,
jeez,
my mum was veggie when I was a baby, so that's 35 years ago,
right?
And she said that my dad always jokes about there was only ever like one option, if that.
Yeah,
this was in Germany. There was like
right.
nothing so real tough. But like these days, I mean, I sort of. I second what you say. I mean, for me, a lot of my reasoning was sustainability, and the animal thing. Obviously, after like I've said to a few people that I kind of felt as though at some point they have to start taxing meat for the effects that it's having, and therefore I'm probably going to be priced out of eating meat. I would rather make my own choice to stop than just one day realize I can't afford to buy the stuff I want to buy. So that was one thing, which is still not happening, but I'm sure it will. I do feel like that. It
feels like that's coming. Like it's a natural step.
I mean, there has from the higher powers that be. I guess we need to make that happen. But yeah, these days, I mean, I actually quite liked the fact that I sort of have a muffin analogy, whereas when I would eat anything,
right.
Well, you'd eat anything. If you could eat anything, which most people can, you choose to eat whatever, and you fancy a chocolate muffin, you could just go out and buy one anywhere. I could go right now, and I could probably I could drive for less than 10 minutes, and I'd be able to find 3 different types of chocolate
100%,
muffin.
yeah.
And then you lose the enjoyment of the chocolate muffin because they're everywhere.
It's just readily available.
You probably haven't got one here, to be fair, but you remove that, and then you're out and about, and then you find in a random cafe, you're not even hungry for a chocolate muffin, but you're out and you see a local little cafe and they're doing a vegan chocolate muffin. You're buying that muffin.
100%.
You've got to buy it.
100%.
And you're excited about it, and you're saying,
and you've driven 50 miles to find it as well.
But for me, it did. I mean, because we live in insane times where you can have muffins delivered to your door within half an hour and things, and we're just, the world is just accessible from anywhere. So I actually almost it almost sort of knocks you back a step to say, well, actually, I enjoy the finding of things. I enjoy the process of cooking something that I maybe did have when I was eating meat, and trying stuff that's different. Now, some people don't. The ease and simplicity of just being able to buy what they want. They've got enough dramas of other things. I accept that. For me, like I say, it was something that I enjoy about it. I enjoy the challenge, but yeah, like you, I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. And interestingly, a guy messaged me on Facebook recently, and I posted about the Extinction Rebellion.
Sure.
And we'd gone and things, and I just sort of mentioned about the vegan part of it, and he kind of said, I try and have a veggie night once a week.
Right.
I definitely agree that it is the best thing that people can do for the planet is to not eat meat or be part of that industry. But I like meat loads, so awkward.
I kind of think that the whole criticism piece of it, based on the fact that not everyone who's involved is vegan, and therefore they're kind of missing the point. Like, I'd love to turn everybody in that march and beyond vegan, and help them make the connection. But at the same time, like some action is better than none. Yeah. And you're not going to change that unless you're part of the conversation. I don't think sort of just staying at home or ignoring it or distancing yourself from it's going to help almost. Yeah.
And I mean, everybody, it's like you were saying earlier about there being all these factions within just the vegan community. There's a huge number of factions within that, and I do what I feel I can do, and I push my limits to a point, but equally, I can't really. Cass has talked a few times about the whole arresting thing, and I've had such a few times. Are you thinking about being arrested? And she can't really, And I went to America. My friend was getting married. I was best man for his wedding, and I flew to America. And that according to the stats, that melted 3 square meters of Arctic ice.
Yeah.
and me and Cass both went. So, you know, so the difficulty is how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go, I suppose. But
Totally.
my biggest frustration is that there's this kind of viewpoint of, well, if you're not perfect, why bother? And it's even, you know,
Totally.
And there's, you know, there are a lot of people out there who are making positive differences to their diet, and they're doing it for whatever reason. Some people are just not eating red meat because they don't wake up feeling nauseous or whatever. And so almost the label of vegan is actually, for me, it's a big problem, really, because I think actually when you label people into vegan or pescatarian, omnivore, vegetarian, you're telling them what the rules of what they can and can't do. And therefore the people in the other parts will find reasons to pick apart your argument. So I remember telling somebody I'd just recently gone vegan, and they said, "Oh, have you smoked?" I said, "Well, I have definitely in the past." They said, "Well, you know, smoking's test on animals, so therefore and I was like, "Well, what? Sure." And you could pick apart my argument. You know, I could sit with somebody now who tell me I'm a terrible vegan for whatever reason, all the stuff that I do and don't do.
Yeah.
But that's not really going to get us very far, I don't think.
No.
I think it's about being trying to be a conscientious person. And actually, if people say, well, I can't be vegan because I just love cheese too much. You're like, okay. I mean, if you looked into what's in cheese, it might put you off a bit. But, you know, if you cut out all meat and dairy and you do this and you do that, but you still eat, obviously cut out dairy, but you still eat cheese, that's great.
You're
And
a
who
step
knows?
on from where you were, right? Look at that.
Hello. They found local cheese for us.
I feel like that's some sort of like anti-vegan conspiracy that they found some local cheese. Siri's told us to stop talking about this.
Yeah.
Go to a cheese shop.
Go and get some cheese. But, you know, someone might drive, they might drive an electric car, and they might have not flown for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they might not have eaten meat for 10 years, but they might eat cheese, and therefore they're not a vegan. And therefore, so
Totally.
It's tricky. I say, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
To your point, I don't think necessarily as great as the labels can be when you're kind of inside the circle, it does also put some people outside of the circle, and you have to be kind of conscious of how restrictive that is on letting people in.
Yeah.
Are they going to want to come in if you're too resistant? It's such a challenge,
Yeah,
especially when you feel so passionately about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because how do you measure the good that you're doing without it just being your own sort of personal? I kind of feel like I'm making a difference, but I don't know if everybody followed my model, or if everybody followed your model of what is good and what is not good.
Yeah.
I probably fly once a year max, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
And we just bought an electric car, but the range on that's not great. So I also have a diesel, but if everybody did one way, would the world then be sustainable? I don't know. It's almost like you need some sort of point system. Like you have to do 20 points worth of good, ethical, world improving a month.
And then you get a badge or something.
And then you get to continue, or then you pay less tax. I don't know. Some way of monetizing or finding, because my friend who messaged me on Facebook, he understands the argument, but for him, and I think about doing this, but he doesn't do it. But what is the trigger that makes him go? And I said to him, if you genuinely believe that you would benefit and that there would be a benefit to you not eating meat once a week, then do it. But don't tell me that you believe in that and then not do it. If you don't believe in that, that's fine. And, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe that, don't tell the world that you believe that and then don't do it. Because that's just you're just living in complete denial.
So moving on to the pregnancy you kind of like handled in your stride. Like you said, Cass probably wasn't gonna take too much in the way of counter arguments from people, which is a good place to be. Did you find when Ren was born that it invited more of that kind of potential, low level judgment? Did you encounter any of that?
We encountered a bit of it. And I mean, this is, friends and family that I think, like I said, there's that classic question of, are you going to bring Ren up as vegan? And for me, I've got friends who have been vegan literally all their life. And they're perfectly fine and perfectly healthy. So I didn't read, I think we did a bit of looking into the deficiencies, particularly at an early age. D and B12 and all that kind of important stuff that kids need to have. So there was a certain degree of us making sure that we weren't being irresponsible. And of course, if you look up, vegan, baby vegan parenting, some of the articles at the top are like child malnourished because of, parents' vegan lifestyle. And of course, these stories are pure clickbait. And there was one story in particular I remember that was, they fed them, they were on like some sort of raw food, some crazy diet thing that the parents were both on, and the kid by association just wasn't taking on enough calories. It wasn't because of the vegan diet. It was just, I think it was just eating cucumber or something, something mad.
Yeah.
So, we did a bit of that, a bit of the digging. But it doesn't take you long to realize the first 6 months it's milk only and Cass breastfed. Yeah. And so, yes, pretty straightforward. Yeah. And then, she starts eating food, and then it's just what we're eating. And, we have a pretty, I try a bit harder and things, and then certainly not just eating chips every night. Yeah. To move on from that university diet. But yeah, I think people still find it strange. If I remember, I've got, a nephew he's 12 now, but at the time he would have been 8, I guess. And I remember him saying when we were at a pizza, we was explaining about vegan, and he said to me, like, where do you get your protein from? Like,
really?
As an 8-year-old. And I'm just like, I don't understand how that is fed into kids at that sort of age. And of course, he was like, oh, are you not worried that Ren won't have enough protein? And I said, like, Harley, what's protein?
I was going to say, did you ask him?
Yeah. I said, what's protein? And how much protein do you need? And he was like, I don't know, but I know that meat's got a lot. And I was like, okay, well, let me talk to you about.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
Where does that come from? I've no idea.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we had a bit of it. I think you do have to make sure you're armed with answers to an extent, not to hit back with people, but certainly if people are worried, I suppose you've got a reason to explain. But I saw an interesting article recently that that the real question people should ask is why are we bringing all of our kids into a world where the people are indoctrinated that eating meat is normal, eating eggs is normal. So Ren is quite partial to Hey Dougie.
Yep, yeah.
And if Arthur's got into Hey Dougie,
loves it.
Great guy. There's an egg. Each episode is about a badge.
Yeah,
very sort of
the egg badge.
The egg badge, but there's also an omelette badge.
Yes.
So there's one episode where they talk about the baby chick, the chickens can't have any things, and then they have some eggs, and then there's another one where they talk about making omelettes. And those two things are...
There's no debeaking badge that I've seen, or maceration badge. The gassing badge.
Oh, God, imagine. But yeah, I mean, but it's interesting.
It's right there though, isn't it? That early.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I feel like a massive kind of hippie for pointing this stuff out and noticing it and almost questioning, do I let Arthur watch this? Like, it sounds crazy because obviously when he's of an age that I can explain it to him, we'll have a good conversation about it and it'll be absolutely cool. But it does cross your mind. You think you're very aware of how much it's from that early age. Mm-hmm. This is normal behavior. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Even Hey Dougie, and I love Hey Dougie.
Yeah. We were on holiday and we found in a little shop a book called Eggs.
Right.
And it's a really sweet little book. And Ren already knows that eggs come from chickens and they can be, to a point. She's 2, but she understands, as we explain it to her, this is what eggs are and da-da-da. And in this book, it's a really nicely put together, and it teaches you what eggs are and when eggs are, what the yolk is and what the thing is, and these are the types of eggs that these animals come out of this. And it's really sweet. And the last page, it just says, "Oh, and what's your favorite type of egg? Is it scrambled, fried?" And I was like, honestly, the whole book is like a an educational,
Yeah.
really interesting
Basic
book.
biology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ren likes the pictures. I don't think she's
it's
learning
great.
much, but she likes seeing the little baby chick next to the thing. She's like, oh, it's so
Yeah,
cute
yeah.
and all that sort of stuff. And then the last page is that. And we tore it out.
Did she see it first? Did you see her reaction?
It's just words.
Right, okay.
So it's not, they don't have like a picture of scrambled egg.
Right.
So, and maybe we tore the page out, but only because it seemed quite odd. And we were we get to that end point but it just seemed very odd.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is about the joy of the amazing of what eggs are. How amazing is it that these things are these and all these sharks and all these snakes come out of leathery types of eggs and this. And also scrambled though. Do you like scrambled or do you want fried? It's very odd. The whole thing's very odd.
Totally. There's lots of those. I was reading that's not my tractor.
Right.
The other night. And obviously being tractors is fairly farm based, but not, overtly so. There's no calves being penned for veal or anything like that. But there is a bit where there's a couple of sheep in a trailer attached to this tractor.
Right.
And every time we read this page, I kind of think, where are these sheep going?
Sure.
So in my mind, I square it with when I tell the story to Arthur, they're in a sanctuary.
Right.
And they're just being transported to a bigger field.
Yeah.
Like that's how it's going to be. Yeah. But that's obviously not how it's designed. They're they're the farmer's transporting his sheep, his property from this place to another place. Like it's just everywhere. Like from that early age. Old MacDonald, so on and so forth. We did even go through a stage of singing Old MacDonald Had a Sanctuary. It doesn't scan quite as well.
Syllables.
Doesn't scan, but still we persevere with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really. I mean, Ren's got farm books, and she likes trying. We live. There's a dairy farm behind. Literally, there's a dairy farm behind our house. Wow. The field is on the back of our garden, and there are cows in there. And they come right up, and it's really sweet. But it breaks your heart a little bit because every year there's new cows.
Yeah,
and they're gone. And my dad, bless him, he naively, maybe I don't know, one year was sort of like, oh, they come right up, like, don't they have, like, they must be so used to it. And I was like, Dad, these aren't the same cows as last year.
Yeah,
the other cows are gone. They've gone somewhere else. And so, but Ren loves it, and it's all quite sweet, but it does break your heart a little bit because she loves cows and she loves pigs and stuff. And like I say, it goes back to that whole, why are we in a place where we teach our kids that the normal thing to do is to eat, just to eat the animal? Yeah, because Ren loves that. She absolutely loves animals,
and it's not innate in them, is it? Like that's. We're having to tell them because it's not innate. Yeah, it doesn't. When you do like at primary school, where they bring a chicken, they've got some chicks and everyone strokes them. Petting zoos and whatever. You have these farms, farm parks, and they wheel out these chicks. Yeah, and they're sort of like
lambing is a thing, right?
Lambing, yeah. Here's the new lambs, and we stroke the new lambs. We have to kind of teach kids that it's then okay to. We're going to have lamb for Easter. Yeah. That concept puzzles me completely. It's the most bizarre thing ever. Celebration of life, and we're going to eat the leg of a small creature. But we have to teach them that. So it's just not innate in them.
No, I don't know. It's definitely not. But we haven't at any point had to have a conversation about why we do or why we don't. Ren will quite happily say we don't eat sheep, or we don't. She doesn't know what she's saying. She just just what she says. Yeah, I'll do cooking and stuff with Ren, and I'll say, well, we don't have eggs, do we? And she's like, no, and she's been quite indoctrinated, obviously. But she will always. I say, like, we don't have eggs, do we, Ren? And she'll go, no, eggs are for hatch their baby out. Like she says that now, but I don't think she really knows what she's saying. No. Because we haven't got to that whole point yet. And when we have that conversation, that I don't know. It's interesting because she goes to nursery, and nursery are great, and they do a special different thing for her. But they don't. She just eats what she eats, and the other kids eat what they eat. Yeah, and they're quite good at making sure that she, doesn't eat that, but one day she'll go to a kid's party and she'll probably eat a cocktail sausage, or she'll eat whatever, and she'll be like,
she won't know what it is.
I had the best cheese I've ever had, Dad. And I'll be like, well, that's because that's a cheese that we don't normally eat. And then it'll be an interesting, but I want her to be able to be old enough to make her own choice. And if she decides to make a choice that she wants to partake of the dairy industry, then that's her choice, and I'll be disappointed. But I don't think that'll be a case. And actually, when she's that age, I do hope that things have moved on to a degree, that it's not the norm. But it is fascinating how it's just, a friend of mine, he's got twins, and he would every other Sunday or so, after Ronnie, his little boy, would go out and play football, and they would have a fry up. And my friend Rob's big fry up guy, loves them.
Yeah.
And one week Ronnie said to Rob, Dad, I don't want to eat meat. And Rob said, okay. And he had a veggie fry up.
Yeah.
Great. For whatever reason, something's gone into Ronnie's head. Rob eats meat, and has never had that conversation. So just had it. That came into his mind. Daddy, I don't want to eat animals. So he ordered him a veggie fry up, and he had his veggie fry up. All was good. And then 2 weeks later, Rob's he sent me a photo of him out with Ronnie, and not because of that, but he sent me a photo, and Ronnie was having a meat fry up again. And I said, I thought Ronnie had gone vegetarian. And Rob was like, yeah, but he didn't ask this time. He forgot. Right. And I was like, okay. So and I accept that maybe Ronnie being the only vegetarian in the house might be a bit awkward, but do you not at that point go, Ronnie, do you remember last week you said you didn't want to eat animals?
Yeah, why was that?
Yeah, why was that? Or is that, if he said, do you want to eat animals this week? And Ronnie goes, yeah, then it's his choice. Whether, he's 6 or so, sure. But it's his choice. But at least maybe open up that conversation. And I probably should have challenged Rob more on why he didn't. I suspect it was probably just because he probably just didn't think of it. Yeah, which you do maybe when you have yours or my mindset, you sort of jump on it.
Totally.
The day that any of my nephews and nieces say to me, "Oh, you think about this?" I'll be straight in.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. So I think kids, like you say, they think of these things, and it's coming up and it's happening in conversation. There's things that are changing, but there also needs to be an active push from the parent or guardian or school or nursery or whatever to kind of to see it from that point and go, well, we're going to, it's better, but it's probably not better for them. It's probably more expensive. So I don't know where that push comes from, but it needs to happen before kids start to actually do it better. Yeah. Be better.
So, at the nursery, you said that they've been really good, really supportive. Like, was Ren like the first vegan kid they had, or they had some experience? Were they quite good with that kind of thing?
When we chatted to them about it, we definitely had to explain to them what that meant. Yeah. We've moved to Oxfordshire now, so that it's different than it probably would have been in Brighton, where they've probably got a good amount of kids there. So there was we had to make sure. And actually, for a long time, I was a bit like, are they just telling us? Because and actually, I'm still a little bit. I'm like, but I'm confident they do a good job. And actually, the chef there, she tries various things. Actually, I found out recently her partner's vegan, so I think she's coming up with some cool stuff, which is quite helpful. That's cool, because I don't want to be a burden. I hate that. I hate that. I was never the guy that would sit in the restaurant and say like, can you do something different? Totally. Yeah. But I was forced to, and actually, I actually find the general people are actually a bit more like, hey, we'll give it a go. Like, chefs quite like it, and actually, at the nursery, they've been really great. But there definitely was a bit of that, and I'll hear the same sort of meals come up quite often. I mean, Ren's only there like 2 days a week, and there seems to be 3 meals on kind of cycle that she seems to go through. But there's still, and they'll still do, they'll bake. The other day we got a phone call because they were dipping strawberries in chocolate. Right. And we had a phone call, and you get a phone call from the nursery, and you're like, oh God,
What's
drop
happened?
everything. Something's happened. And it was a phone call, and they were like, can she, we're
For vegan parents, it's we're dipping fruit.
Yeah, exactly. We're dipping fruit in milk chocolate. Is that all right? And I was my personal view on that, and I may differ to other people, was I don't mind. Like, in my view, I'd love them to have bought, and if I probably could have pushed harder. But my view is like, they've got the chocolate, they're going to melt it, the kids are going to do that. Ren's either going to be part of that activity, or she's going to be doing something else by herself. So I would like her to partake of that. But equally, if I was maybe more strong-willed or a bit bolder, I probably would, when I collected her, should have said, when you do that next time, the kids don't really care about the milk content in their chocolate. And you can buy vegan chocolate. So, you could do something that's better,
inclusive for everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. Rather than, and because loads of lactose intolerant and gluten intolerance and stuff like that, like they have to be open to that sort of thing. So but they didn't, but I'd like to think that maybe I would have been a bit more vocal about that the next time that comes up. And actually Cass said to me, they called me as well, because they got through to me and then called them back. And she was like, did you say it would be okay? And I was like, so we were aligned on that. We both would have said, yeah, it's okay. But there are other people that wouldn't, and would rather that, they did something differently, or they, and actually maybe that forces the issue more.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
It's such a battle, that one, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
That idea of as a parent, the thought of your child sitting out and being excluded feels so awful.
Yeah.
That it's really hard to make a decision, and I think your view's pretty pragmatic. They're kind of like, they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
I think that you make a good point about, like, is there a sort of a remedial conversation, almost like when I pick her up, like, maybe next time, like, we could do this, like, that works for everyone, right? Yeah. I think that's probably what feels to me anyway. I know loads of people disagree with it, but probably the most pragmatic way around it. But it's a challenge, I guess. Yeah, it is. But then, they might not think that way, I suppose. Yeah. And so, it's making them aware of that they would next time when they are out and they go, we haven't got any chocolate for the strawberry dipping, and they send someone and they just say, when you buy it, can you just make sure you buy dark chocolate? Yeah. Or whatever, this is the thing, and just do that, because then they know. And yeah, I say, that will come up countless times. And I guess as we go, we're finding out differences. I mean, Ren's still quite young, so she's not being in, she's not at school, and as soon as that happens and she's in a class of 30 kids, there's a birthday party once a month. Yeah. And then you've got this whole thing of, I don't want to be, I'm maybe different to lots of other people in that, there's that classic, like, how do you know there's a vegan in the room? Yeah. They'll tell you. I'm not that guy. Like, but if someone asks me, I've got thoughts, and I'd like to think that I can, give people some food for thought. Yeah,
but
of course.
My view on it is, I guess I would like, I don't want to cause a fuss. Yeah. In a which sounds, it's lazy really, but I want it to seem easy to people, because it is easy. So I don't, I would rather make, it's the classic barbecue scenario, right?
Yeah, sure.
And actually the Vegan Society will say, if you're asked, there's sort of guidance. I don't know if you've seen this.
No, I haven't.
So on the Vegan Society website, for sort of FAQs, frequently asked questions, and people are trying to find their own, way of through this kind of unanswerable question. But the Vegan Society advise that if you're barbecuing, on a barbecue, unless you're particularly irked or put off by the idea of fat from animal sausages getting on your vegan sausages, you really should share the barbecue space, because what you don't want to seem, and you don't want to come across as difficult, because the people who are maybe on the fence about the idea of becoming vegan, or even just vegans as a whole being this kind of like, oh, these guys, if you are the guy at the barbecue, you're like, why have you got this what's this barbecue? Like, oh, this is the one for the vegans.
Yeah.
So actually, like I say, if it doesn't bother me. Ultimately, that by me bringing my own stuff, it's not going to create more death.
Yeah.
The fat and all the fat and all the bits
true.
that are coming out. Some people are particularly put off from the taste of it.
Yeah.
So I get that. For me, it's not. I never was put off the taste of meat. I just don't think it's ethical to eat anymore. So for me, it's not a problem. And I would like it to be a straightforward thing, which is why I kind of want to help people to understand it is easy to do than it being, being difficult. Well, yeah, actually, Ren can't do that. And I don't want that to be a thing. I don't want her to be near it. And all of a sudden that creates a thing because they're going to have to, I would rather it was straightforward, but for me as well, I do feel like I could probably do more to voice that conversation and say, well, actually, you do know that you can buy chocolate that doesn't have milk in it. And really it tastes fine. It's not dairy milk, but it tastes fine. And they might go, oh no, we had no idea. I just thought Ren couldn't eat chocolate. And you're like, well, that's not true at all. Ren loves chocolate.
Yeah.
We just don't buy stuff that's got milk or eggs or whatever in it. So yeah, I think there's an argument to just trying to, for me anyway, it's to nurture people into the idea of it rather than shock people away from it, I guess.
No, I'm totally with you. Although I struggle with that personally, I definitely go through that sort of like there's a bit of militance in me.
That's good.
But it's, well, it is and it isn't. Like I sometimes feel like I am probably a bit, I am that sort of slightly difficult person who will say, well, I'm not putting my sausages on your barbecue.
Yeah.
But the way you describe it there, it's just made me think, what's the greater good here? That short term, me making that point, or the longer term starting the conversation, which might make somebody feel more inclusive. It's like we were talking, before about the idea of the label, and it sort of includes as much as it excludes. It creates a wall around those people, and it's the same kind of thing. You sort of, you maintain your kind of like vegan credentials because you haven't put your sausages on the barbecue. You can carry the badge still, and like mentally. Yeah. But have you missed the opportunity to start a good conversation?
Yeah, and I think it's all about your audience, I suppose, isn't it? Like and you as the sort of center really of your community. When you decided to go vegan, there was you and Kate, and then a few others who actually, you could always look at it like there's almost a responsibility to be that person that raises the question, because actually if let's say there's no right or wrong. You go to a barbecue and you quite happily just put your sausages on the thing, and they go and they don't even say, oh, is that all right? And you go and you just do it and you cook it, and no one thinks anything of it, and but versus you go, oh, actually it makes them go, do you know what? I never even thought of that. And then maybe it sparks a thought in their mind of going, oh yeah, that drippy stuff is fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they go, oh, actually it's all a bit, and so that you can
audience. Argue it both ways almost.
Yeah. I've got friends who I know are a little on the fence, and they're perhaps at that point where they're kind of feeling like it doesn't feel right. And there's definitely a movement. I know it's feasible and I can do it, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass. So I'm probably not go. I will maybe next month or in a few months.
Yeah.
Those people, I'll prod them a bit harder.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they know I'm right. In the nicest possible way, they do. So I will prod them a bit harder than other people that might be a little bit nervous. Like, what does that mean? And actually trying to kind of, for those people, maybe just be like, look, it's not a big deal. Like, don't worry. And I would maybe try and be as vocal as I probably wouldn't talk about the brutality of the whole thing, because it suddenly irks it. They put the barriers up more than they already were. And kind of need to sort of lure them into the fact that it is normal. It's not unusual. It's just, these are the reasons why and stuff. So I guess it is just knowing your audience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I do find that difficult. The temptation to sort of, use the the hyperbolic, the shocking sort of the superlative kind of language to, you know, describing someone's sandwich as, you know, death, or how many animals have been killed in that particular fry-up of yours, that kind of thing. Like, I sometimes just find I can't help myself. I do sort of make that comment in half, like in a sort of a bit of angry jest, and then it leads, and I find there's a couple of reactions. You either get somebody kind of like with the kind of like, I know it's wrong kind of thing, and then I find I soften, because there's almost like okay, like you kind of, you know, you're on the wrong side, and you know you need to make the change, and then the opposite, where, you know, somebody puts the barriers up almost, and they're like, because you're challenging their way of life, like, and if I think back, or if I think about now, even somebody is still that. When they resist, they're challenging my way of life. So no one likes that. And I suppose I need to accept that's how that person's feeling too. But I tend to end up in more of an argument with those people. You know, that they put the wall up, and then I kind of go harder. And I see other vegans kind of so much more successful at the kind of, you know, you don't catch flies with vinegar kind of approach. Right. You shouldn't be catching flies at all, of course. But
just let them out the window.
Just let them out the window, yeah. But, you know, like I do struggle with that. I'd struggle with being that kind of pragmatic and kind. Almost.
No, because I think you do it better than you're suggesting. I mean, you know, there is a way now, and we're probably similar in that vein of delivering the sheer brutal truth to people in a way that makes them sort of you know, that, because the argument's always this kind of the historically vegans who would be the, you know, the sort of, I don't know, sandal wearing, you know, eco warrior, you know, sort of, you know, whatever, live in a tree and things. There's that whole thing, whereas actually that's moved on massively. You can't argue with the facts, and actually for a lot of people there is the shock element of, we live in a very very idle purchasing, you know, world where, like you say, people are often like, yeah, I know, but I just got there and the only sandwiches they had were meat ones and things.
And I don't like the hummus and vegetable.
I just
don't like it, so I'm not going to have it.
Exactly. But, you know, if you challenge them on that and they know that, it maybe, you know, it sticks in, and actually the next time they go, I'm not buying it, and then maybe that does something. And so I think, you know, you have to sometimes put the facts out there. There is a responsibility of that.
I think it sometimes plays to that vegan stereotype, the sort of like, you know, the angry militant vegan, like with it. I suppose when you reflect on it the way you describe it, probably there is a degree of like humour that I know they're going to almost in a strange way appeal to. Like I can, like you say, talk about debeaking while someone's eating an egg sandwich, with a kind of like weird dark humour, playing up to the kind of notion of like bloody vegans, like, you know, they'll tell you that all those stereotypes, like I don't know how effective it's been, but I guess on reflection it probably hasn't damaged any relationship I've got with, you know, carnists. Yeah.
It's tricky though, isn't it? Because then does that perpetuate the status quo?
Yeah,
you know, because if you say, you have a joke and you say, oh, you bought another meat sandwich, you go, oh yeah, I know, and then the same thing happens again and you say the same thing, and then it just becomes like a funny line that you always say to people until you actually turn around at one point and go, when are you going to just stop buying it? If you know, then you know. If you don't care, then talk to me why it doesn't matter.
Totally.
Explain. So it is. Yeah, it's really hard.
I'm definitely, and this comes back to that, you know, the point you were making about the kind of like, we shouldn't criticize people for doing something positive, you know, and I feel very triggered at the moment with the like the plastics and the single-use plastic. Like not because I love a single-use plastic, obviously, like the abhorrent, you know, the society we've built around this kind of this single-use product. But people, it's really captured the zeitgeist. People they're so intent on the plastic straw.
Yeah.
But it's in their milkshake that's full of chicken fat and all kinds of other body parts and so on. And I really struggle not to be triggered and not to say something in those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
The fishing net stat, once I heard that, that 50% of the ocean plastic is kind of single-use fishing nets that are discarded, not straws.
Right, yeah.
And somebody's literally, they've got their itsu in front of them and they're smashing sushi and they're telling you about the plastic straw that they've avoided. And
it's tricky. I mean, whoever did the PR stuff for the paper to plastic straws needs to up their game. But at the same time, changing the type of straw that you have is not impacting the food that people are eating and that kind of thing. People just accept. And I think maybe single-use plastic is, people are making choices, but they're not, companies are feeling the force of that, right? Companies are feeling the force of trying to make changes to the type of packaging they use, because it does seem like there is a kind of sway of focus towards it. I mean, David Attenborough, and all that kind of stuff. There is a sway towards it. Glastonbury went entirely plastic free, and all this kind of stuff, which is great. But that is the vessels in which we choose to eat and drink our things, and all of a sudden you're not. People accept that single-use plastic doesn't have an impact on that. It shouldn't really have an impact, and we might get the odd person that kicks off about it. I remember they removed plastic from Yorkshire tea bags. Everyone was like, get rid of the plastic that's in tea bags.
Right.
And then they did. And then all the tea bags started splitting. And everyone was like, this is a nightmare. I'm getting tea in my tea.
I can't cope.
It's ridiculous. Put the plastic back. So it's fine. Remove the plastic. Why is there plastic in my tea bag?
Yeah.
And then they remove it. Go, hang on, this is impacting my ability to enjoy a cuppa. So put the plastic back.
Yeah.
And it's, it doesn't affect the way you drink a strawberry milkshake if you have it in a paper or a plastic straw. Whereas when you're telling people that they're eating wrong, or that, change is coming and they need to opt. I used to love having a takeaway. I used to love buying a all meat feast pizza.
People's rituals, right? Like
Bacon though, that's the thing. Like I just couldn't get through the day without.
This is what we do on a Saturday night. We get a takeaway. This is what my family does this at Christmas. It's so, you're challenging I can see why it's such a sore subject, because you're challenging everything that we've, going back to the children's books, that we've literally been talked to, read, we've read about together, that we've sung songs about from, since when we were born. It's deep, I suppose, to challenge people. Yeah,
but it's tricky. I mean, this. I know this specifically talking about veganism, but I'm sure that someone could sit across the table from me that is a devout meat eater but doesn't buy anything in plastic, and they will tell me that I'm not doing the best 100%. For the planet or whatever. So it is really hard. I will go to the supermarket and I will buy a truckload of vegetables, and I will try and avoid the stuff in the plastic packaging. But unless I go to a greengrocer, I'm not able to do it. And that's really hard. But it's really hard. And somebody who is, I've seen some interesting short documentaries about people who do zero waste. I mean, the sacrifices that they make to their daily life is phenomenal. It's incredible. There's a woman that can fit all the plastic that she's used in a jam jar for the year. I mean, unbelievable. But she has to shop in completely different places, and I choose not to do that. The thing, I'm conscious of it, and I'm probably conscious of it not because of I'm conscious of it because of things that I've been subjected to, rightly, social media, TV, advertising, that plastic is bad, and it's really bad, and it's clogging up the oceans, and it's causing huge problems. And I am conscious of making those more ethical choices with regards to plastic, but I still buy it, and it's still lots coming in. A friend of mine's not vegan. He's very close to being vegan, but he's staunchly on the plastic bags. And he will challenge people. Why did you buy that plastic bottle? You can buy Coke in a can. and he will challenge people really hard. And I think of it, I'm conscious of it, but I still buy it, and I'm better than I was, but I'm certainly not, by no means perfect. No one's perfect. So, for us, the vegan thing is a natural kind of thing. But for others, they making their difference that way. So
you're spot on, and they could totally, going back to the argument we were talking about earlier, they could totally sit across the table and say, well, you guys know that that's bad, right? You've talked about it, so why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And that's going full circle, that's the bit where it's really difficult to start throwing stones. Like we have to kind of think about how we're communicating all of our messages, whichever side of whichever fence we're from. It's not binary, it's not black and white, it's not ones and zeros, like we have to be a little bit more tolerant, but it's very difficult in this current age, isn't it?
And that's I read a lot and I follow a lot of people who are vegan and promote veganism and things that I have done. And so I feel like I am conscious of the change that I am hopefully making, or at least attempting to make a change. And I don't follow as closely the plastic side of things. And so it's difficult. It kind of, it would be great if there was some sort of way of quantifying what we, what difference are we making? Because, I do feel like there are some, because really at the moment, you and I make choices, and everybody makes choices that will fit into their ideals, their standpoint, what they are, financial, economic reasons. We're fortunate that, that Cass and I are able to afford a vegan lifestyle. I accept that, I haven't run the numbers, but that is something that comes up, so I accept that. So there are many reasons. So, but yeah, I'd like to say it's difficult to know. It's difficult to quantify. You just try and make a difference where you feel like you can. But I feel passionately for a number of reasons about diet and veganism, and I feel passionate about climate change. But I find it really hard, as I'm sure most people do, to really quantify what it is, how we are all making a difference, and what is, whether it be to try and be carbon neutral, or whether it be to try and affect it all boils down to the planet, right? I mean, for you and me, the reasons for going veganism primarily was sustainability. So I feel as though if we can, impact, and studies will suggest that having a vegan lifestyle will have a bigger impact. So will that then impact the type of plastics that things use? I don't know. It feels like I feel like it. I don't know. I feel like it's moved. The plastic thing is a conversation that I see happening more. I feel like there are more. I don't know. But again, maybe it is because it doesn't affect people's. We're not telling people about to change their way of life, and I don't know. It's interesting.
Are you ultimately kind of optimistic
about the planet?
Yeah,
depends on what day of the week I'm feeling. I mean, I generally, as a person, I am. My sort of thinking of it is that we're only really going to make things are only really going to start changing when the powers that be determine that something needs to happen, because it's all there. The technology is there. It exists. Electric planes can exist. Electric travel can exist. It's just we don't fund it. It's so. So my kind of viewpoint on it when I'm feeling optimistic is that the billionaires out there at some point, and the owners of the these companies, accept they can't take their money with them when they go. They can't give it to their kids when the planet's gone. So they just have to go. It's got to happen. But the pessimist in me says, well, why would they? Because they knew however long that there was that there's a time limit, and they know how close that is depending on what you read and who you look at. So I mean, I have had some low days where I've especially having Ren, because for me, I've been able to enjoy flight travel. I've seen the world. I was lucky enough to go.
Yeah.
We used to live in Saudi Arabia, and my dad worked for the MOD, and seen loads of places. I've seen a rhino, and
Yeah.
I'm terrified that, you know, when Ren's 11 and they talk about rhinos, that won't be a thing. They won't be around.
Yeah.
They won't have, you know, that, and that scares the life out of me that is happening. You know, 200 species going, you know, it's insane when you look when you look at the numbers. So the sort of world that I am bringing Ren up in is, you know, not at the moment, doesn't feel like something particularly to be proud of, ecologically, politically, sustainably. So it does scare me. But at the end of the day, it's the situation that we're in. And so all I can do to feel optimistic is feel like I am making a change, feel like I am doing stuff, go to the Extinction Rebellion march and be present. Because, you know, in 10 years time or 20 years time, when Ren turns around and says, you know, what were you doing? At least maybe I can sort of say, well, you know, I tried with the evidence that I had in front of me. I took that evidence and I tried to do what I could in my little way. So yeah, I don't know. It depends. I'm on the fence. Let's put it that way.
I think that's a good place to conclude.
Sure.
We're both on the fence.
On the fence.
Optimistic, but with a degree of pessimism.
Yes. I've got you a present, by the way. Just
thank you.
I brought you a special present
What's the special
for
present?
your inaugural podcast.
Oh, I'm excited. Shall I open it now?
You can open it on. Yeah. I mean, the prizes for guessing.
I think it might be single-use plastic.
It's that paper is recyclable.
I jest.
I should add,
Chris,
it
that's
is
not
recyclable.
me.
Yes, I
Something
figured you
made
were
of
doing a
single-
podcast, so I thought I'd bring you a special gift from
Oh, look at
a
that!
podcast that you.
From a fantastic podcast. So it's an Empire Film Podcast mug. So I think you went to the tour recently, right?
I did, yeah.
Bangly bang, as it says on the side. Thank you so much, Chris.
It's a pleasure.
What a beautiful place to end on this lovely mug. Thanks so much.
That's a real pleasure.
Thanks for your time. Cool.